So congratulations, you finally got the call back for that interview you've been waiting for. Maybe you've got hundreds of resumes out. You're gonna get your best suit, your best tie, your best outfit, whatever you have on. You're gonna start diligently going over your career experience and reviewing your resume to make sure that you have all the points in your head that you want to talk about. And that's fantastic. The reality is, though, if you do one of these 5 things that I'm going to talk about here next, you're going to kill your chances at getting that job. Hey everybody, welcome back to Career Compass Media. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. So you've got the interview and you're getting ready to go, and you're probably playing through a number of scenarios on how you should answer certain questions. What's just as important is making sure that you don't answer a question in a way that would automatically turn the employer off. And so that's what this video is going to cover today. There are going to be 5 things that I'm going to recommend you never say in an interview. So, number 1, the first thing you never want to say is, "I don't know." And what I mean by that is you never want to say you don't know about the company or about the position that you've applied for. And this might sound a little weird. At the same time, when you think of all of these job platforms that we have out there, Indeed, LinkedIn, they all have all of these easy apply buttons. And so you might get 10, 20, 30 notifications a day from different platforms showing that you are a good match for this particular position. And literally, if you filled out your profile on these landing sites, you hit the button, easy apply, and automatically you're just in their applicant pool. And so all of a sudden, if you get a call back and you're thinking, wow, I just applied for like 85 different jobs, I better look and see exactly which one this came back to me with some positive feedback saying, yes, we want to interview you. You never want to walk in saying, I really don't know about your company. I really don't know what the day-to-day is like. It shows a lack of effort. It shows a lack of interest in the company when you do something like that. So rule number 1, if you're going to apply for a job, make sure you know what that job is. But more importantly, if someone calls you and has you come in for an interview and you're sitting at the interview table and they're asking you what attracted you to our company, or where do you see how you fit into our organization, you say, I really don't know. You've almost guaranteed that employer is going to be turned off by your lack of effort to know anything about their company or the position that you've applied for. All right, so now for the second thing you never want to say in an interview. You never want to talk bad about your current or previous employers. You go on social media and everyone's throwing out this word, oh, it's a toxic work environment, or it's just toxic this, toxic that. Never speak bad about your previous employer. And if you step back and think about it, if I'm interviewing you and you come and you sit down and really we don't hardly know anything about each other, and after a 2-minute conversation, you're going to start bad-mouthing the people who have employed you, have paid you, have allowed you essentially to live the lifestyle that you maybe have, maybe not the ones you want, but they're doing what they can to provide you the means to have a life, and all you're doing is saying all the horrible things about them that you feel you've been jaded or those types of things. The reality is, my thoughts, if I'm that person who's representing my employer, or I'm the person who might be hiring you, I'm thinking automatically, you barely know me. Why are you saying such horrible things about this previous employer? And when my back is turned, what are you going to say about my company and my management or my leadership style? So again, a definite thing you never want to do not ever speak bad about your current company or your previous companies that you've worked for in the past. It is just an immediate turnoff for almost every employer that I've ever talked to. All right, so my third thing that you don't want to do is you never want to tell everything about yourself. And don't get me wrong, there's always a question, and usually it's one of the starter questions in an interview, just so people can kind of lighten the mood, is, tell us about yourself. And if you all of a sudden start talking for 15, 20, 30 minutes, and a lot of times interviews, especially screening interviews, are going to be 30, maybe 45 minutes, after about 5 minutes, that interview committee or the person who's interviewing you more than likely is going to start thinking, when are you going to stop talking and allow me to ask the questions that I actually need to score to move this forward to a yes, you're going to get a second interview, or no, you're not. And it's perfectly fine to give a little information. In fact, you should probably have like a 2-minute max elevator pitch ready of who you are, why you're interested in the position, and most importantly, try to keep it as focused on the professional side of things and why professionally you're interested in the position. Now, don't get me wrong, if you want to throw out, hey, I'm a fan of this baseball team, or I love hiking and being out in the woods, or those types of things, that's perfectly fine. But don't sit and talk and say everything about yourself, because you can really turn someone off by simply losing track of time, losing focus, and not staying really, really directed on why you're there, which is to get a job and to show that you are a business fit. So again, rule number 3, don't go in and say everything about yourself. It can be a major turnoff in an interview. All right, so number 4, don't ever say that you've never made a mistake, right? The reality is we're all human. We're all going to make mistakes. And so many questions these days in interviews are going to be behavior-based questions. And a lot of them are going to really test you on the types of conflict that you've had to deal with in a work environment, especially for leadership style positions. And if all you can say is how good you are and you've never made a mistake, or maybe it was always someone else's fault, the person listening to that is going to think, okay, if you can't admit that you made a mistake, how are you going to act when someone else who might be working for you makes a mistake? Are you going to blame them for everything? Are you going to give them the benefit of the doubt? Or are you just so out of touch that you can't actually admit that maybe you had a failure, maybe you did something wrong? And really what people are looking for when they ask these behavior-based questions is, how did you deal with the conflict? How resilient are you? Because again, we all fall flat on our face at some point. That's not the end of the world, and the reality is that makes you human. That makes you hireable, so long as you can show how you picked yourself up, dusted yourself off, and move forward to make the best result possible. So again, don't ever say that you've never made a mistake. All right, so number 5, stay away from political discussions. It's 2026. There's a lot of turmoil going on. There's a lot of things being posted on social media, on news outlets. Really, the turmoil and the divide, I don't think, has ever been greater in our country between Republicans and Democrats. And the last thing you want to do is inadvertently talk about something that maybe you saw on the news, or maybe a comment that you read about, and all of a sudden you get branded as being on one side of the fence or another without really having a chance to let them know who you are and why you qualify for the position. Now, this may be a little difficult at times, right? Everyone has a political view, and I'm not saying you can't have your political views. What I'm saying is a job interview is a spot where you don't want to bring those things up and inadvertently kick yourself out of the running for a job simply because you have an opinion. So again, in this day and age right now, at least, steer clear of anything related to political topics. Thanks again for joining me here on Career Compass Media. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe, and we'll see you next time here on the channel. Take care.